Started. Tonight's work session, apparently it won't be live streamed. Jason's not getting a signal for a live stream, but he's recording it and he will post it as soon as he can. So, on tonight's work session agenda, we only have one item. I wanted to give plenty of time for questions since this is the first time you've all seen it. This is a garage sale ordinance, and we've been having some discussions here because I had a couple questions even before tonight. So, Doug, do you want to go through this, or you and Mel, or?
We can both do it because the subject was brought to us because there are some places in the city of Fairfield that have perpetual garage sales, sometimes weekly, sometimes daily, and we reviewed other municipalities to see what their garage sale ordinance looks like. We want people to be able to have garage sales, but we also need to have policies in place that helps us govern them, that we're not having merchants all over town that just are perpetually having garage sales. So we've taken some other cities' ordinances and created our own to help us not only track garage sales, but also have a requirement of how many they have per year. And it can be changed and discussed, but most municipalities that we look for or looked at, they have a garage sale ordinance that says that they only allow 3 or 4 garage sales per year per resident, that it allows us to know they have to get a garage sale permit, which would be free of charge. It just only has us track them and who's got them, and then we can actually control it. And then if they decide not to get a permit, that we can actually find them to coax them into just getting a free permit. And, in all things that municipalities do is try to keep everything fair, consistent, and orderly.
Mel said she took that section out, that part
You
out.
did?
Yeah, I didn't want to have to keep track of it.
Oh, okay then.
We have a hard enough time tracking permits and issuing them and people complaining about permits, so.
Okay, good enough. Well, at least we have a permit. We'll potentially have a permit or an ordinance in place.
I guess, and that's something that can be talked about from the
Yeah.
council, but, yeah.
So that's where we started, and this is where we're bringing it to you, because it's been started by me and then reviewed by administration.
Yeah.
And now it's in front of you to change it however you wish.
There's some typos I want to point out.
Okay. Giddy up.
So the first section, 1, the first sentence, just remove the words "it is." There's an extra "is" in there, so take out the first 2 words and it'll be better.
In section
Okay.
1?
Make sense?
Yeah.
I don't hear any acknowledgements, so.
In
Yeah.
section 1?
Yeah.
You just want the purpose rather than it is the.
Yeah, because there's an extra "is" further down in the sentence, so it doesn't make sense. If
After
you
amendments.
Take out the first 2 words, it makes sense. Or you can take out the 1 word, leave the "it is" in there. But I figured let's get rid of 2 words instead of 1.
Okay, next one.
Section 2, A1, the third sentence, strike the first N, I-N, and it'll be okay.
The sale of personal property conducted in or near a residence?
No, the third sentence,
Oh,
unless I miscounted.
does not include in sales and commercial uses.
Should be of sales, or is it strike? No, I can't remember.
This term does not include sales in commercially zoned areas. So that's the in that you want to take, the first in, correct?
That's what I have written down, but read it and see if I'm right, because I could have.
Doesn't
The term does not include sales in commercially zoned areas or industrially zoned areas of the city, nor does it include professionally conducted auctions or other sales, meeting the requirements of 9.3 as long as sales are a permitted use of the city of Fairfield.
Do you want to strike in, or do you want to put of?
I think it should have an
Include.
of in there, shouldn't it?
The sales
Of
of term
sales.
does not include sales in. I think it means you would strike in, just strike it.
Or just strike it?
Yeah, the term does not
Yeah.
include sales in commercially zoned
Right.
areas. So,
Fewer words is better.
Okay.
usually.
We should pass an ordinance on word reduction.
I'm sorry, could you say, so how would this be enforced? No, sorry, not.
Okay, you're talking ahead.
I'm moving past the,
Right.
moving to substance, Doug. No, I'm just kidding. So how would we,
Should we finish, Doug? Doug, do you have more? Hold that thought.
oh, I'm sorry. I
No,
thought
I'm
he was
done.
You're
That's
done.
it. Just
Oh,
those
okay.
two little changes.
Go ahead with your question.
Enforcement and kind of how onerous that may or may not be, and would we be a municipal infraction offense like a simple misdemeanor, or would we be ticketing, or I guess I'm just wondering how burdensome it would be and how we're going to enforce it.
Well, if we take out the permitting process, it's really difficult to enforce. Is there?
How many ordinances do we have that we can't enforce because we don't have rules on what the penalty would be? Bunch of them don't. We have some,
Well, I guess,
like at the mulch site, we couldn't enforce unlawful dumping because we don't have any penalties and ordinances covering it, do we?
So, the mulch didn't even have a penalty section. So
Right.
this has a proposed penalty section that does, as Elizabeth's referencing, municipal infractions. To Doug Reinert's point of keeping track of them, really, I think the purpose of this ordinance is for the nuisance or the nuisance garage sales. Whether someone has 4 garage sales or 5 garage sales spread out over every other month, yes, that is according to the letter of the law against the regulations. I don't think that's the intent of this ordinance, just based off of the conversations I've had with the council members. Hence why I took out the permitting process. And the, keeping track of the nuisance ordinances, or the nuisance garage sales, the few of those would be easier for planning and zoning and code compliance staff than keeping track of every single person who does or doesn't get a garage sale permit.
so it's more like the people who have like a table in their yard that they just cover with a tarp, and then it's like always,
And then it's there
and then it's
for,
there
Like the one on Burlington across from.
perpetuity.
well, that is a whole nother point of discussion that we need to talk about.
How about the one on the corner of, is it 6th Street in Burlington, across from
So-
Dollar?
What was being discussed, what the mayor asked before tonight's meeting is in the portion that you pointed out, third sentence of A1, is that this doesn't apply to commercially zoned areas or industrial zoned areas.
It's residential.
All of those areas, which I guess I didn't realize until we started talking about it beforehand, are, they're actually zoned commercial. So, I guess in order to, right now, those areas can be enforced when stuff is kept out overnight. Because it's already in our nuisance code that furniture that's not intended for outdoor use is not allowed per the nuisance code. I don't know, this ordinance is very similar to other cities, so I'm not sure if they are enforcing it on commercial properties through a business registration or through tighter zoning codes. Just looking through the zoning code, one thought is that we better define outdoor sales in commercial areas. I mean, we still want to allow, the at-home store to have their sidewalk sales. We want Festlers to be able to sell cars. We don't want rummage sales every weekend, I believe is the intent. And
Was the intent to address those garage sales that are held on Burlington or right off Burlington?
I believe so.
And so right now the language doesn't include those properties because they're commercial.
And when I wrote this, I was thinking that the ones on the south side were residential, but we double checked the zoning map and I was wrong. So.
I think that's how it first came up, because of those tents were there for weeks.
Right.
And we went, what is going on here? You
Is
know?
that because it's a Vedic temple or something like that?
Nope, it's because our zoning map wants, and our future land use plan wants commercial along Burlington, and those houses have been there since before we had zoning maps.
And so this is not something that we've captured in our nuisance ordinance, right? Like this we think is necessary because our nuisance ordinance wouldn't, because you just said like any furniture that's left outside that's not outdoor furniture technically, falls under our nuisance ordinance. So what is this, I guess, is it necessary for us to have a whole separate ordinance and just rely on our nuisance?
So when stuff is brought in and out every day in a commercial property, for a property that it's not the business that has a sign there, and it's not the,
It's not a storefront.
it's not a storefront.
Right.
It's not or that they're selling stuff that's not part of the storefront. I'm not sure how we address that without, and I apologize, we just kind of came to this realization a few minutes ago. I'm not sure how to address it other than through zoning, through tightening our zoning code. I can look into some other cities.
Yeah.
I would guess that it's through better defining of accessory uses within a B1 and B2. But that's just an assumption based off of other zoning codes I've read.
Would it be easier or would it muddy it more if we just tied this to peddlers' permits?
Well, right now we're not issuing any we are not enforcing any peddler permits because there are a lot of questions coming from vendors regarding those regulations. So we need to have a work session on that.
Yep, that's coming. Sorry.
Do we want to do it together or not?
I mean, we can. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you can.
I mean, to me, it would make sense
I
to tie them together. Maybe not exactly, but within the same ordinance.
And just looking back again, I think when the things started happening on Burlington, and I think we thought that was residential. And we didn't want it to get out of hand. So, we just, had a conversation with Doug and talked about what was going on, and that's when we talked about we should have a garage sale ordinance. And so that's just where it all started, just so
Yeah.
you know. And
No,
we just don't want it to get too crazy,
I have no issue
too out of
at all.
hand.
Yeah, I have no issue at all with doing it,
Yeah.
but to me, it would make more sense just to do it with the peddlers and the.
And maybe that's how we handle the commercial and industrial side of things, is that the residential still falls under this code.
Okay.
And then commercial and industrial is handled through. We, on page 2, there is some reference already to the peddler permit, specifically bake sales. So if you have 4 or less bake sales, you fall into the garage sale purview. If it's 5 or more, you get into the, assuming you're selling something other than cottage foods, which is a state code definition, but you get into the peddler permit, and then at some point, which I would have to review the peddler permits, you get to a point where you're a home-based business. So I think Tom's idea of addressing those more commercial uses through the peddler permit works.
But we could have that on the next work session while we're working through this as an ordinance, you know, whether we want to actually table it or just, you know, through our, because it's on our agenda tonight. I mean, you could still pass it and then, but you can decide during the council meeting how you want to move forward too. Any other questions on, I think one thing that this does too is it reinforces signage. Because I would say this summer, I'm starting to see a little more signs up on telephone poles, et cetera. You know, seems like every 3-4 years, those start showing up on, because people don't know. So they just slap them up on a telephone pole. And so here's another place that talks about that, which I think is a good thing. Besides our sign ordinance. Any other questions on any sections? Well, hearing none, going once, going twice. Any additional thoughts?
Can I take the 5 minutes to talk about the peddler permit issues?
Sure.
Okay. I'll give you a preview.
It's okay by me.
Unless Matthew wants to talk about it, he's been copying on a lot of those emails.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay. So sometime this year you changed the peddler fees. We went from $1 a day to like, I don't know, $20 for a month or something like that. I mean, we got rid of the $1 a day price. And what has come up is maybe not conflicts between city code and state code, but overlap. One of the things that we ask for in a peddler permit is copies of all of the state license. And so there has been some pushback in the last couple months of, well, why do we have to get the city's okay if if we're already getting the state okay? And even, one person said, well, what do you check for in a background check? Do you check brick and mortar businesses' backgrounds before you allow them to open a business? And I'm valid point, I guess. I can't really, I mean, we don't do those, don't do background checks on someone who opens a brick and mortar business. So those are some of the questions that have been brought up. And most of our peddler permits are related to food trucks. We do have a few door-to-door sales for, I want to jokingly say encyclopedias, but that's not. Some cleaning products are a lot of them. And, I think those are a very important thing to have those background checks and getting a permit that they can show individuals as they go door to door. But on the food trucks, I think it's worth that discussion on making it, doing our duty as the city to make sure those people have their proper licensing, but yet making sure that we're not being cumbersome to businesses. Food trucks are often a place where people will start up a business and then maybe move to a brick and mortar store. So I do understand where people are coming from, that, it's a lot of boxes to check if you're a startup business. Even though the permits are not super expensive, it's still an additional expense for a startup business. So those are some of the discussions, and if I can bring them in a better format. Yeah. For another work session, but that's what's been going on. this came up about a month ago, and so since we're kind of nearing the end of food truck season, we just said we're not making anyone pay for peddler permits right now, just because we haven't had a chance for council to look at this particular issue, and it's not a huge portion of our revenue. We're not gonna have to lay anyone off in order to make ends meet, you know. So it's not that level of critical issue, and so it was just easier to not charge for the peddler permits until this can be addressed.
And I think, just so the council know, there's, you know, you've got brick and mortar buildings who say, hey, you know, I'm paying property taxes, et cetera. Food truck doesn't have that expense, so gee whiz, shouldn't they pay something?
Yep.
And then we have businesses who are trying to enliven their business and enliven the city during Art Walk and other events, and bringing in people from out of town, and you know, and it's gotten a little bit cumbersome not understanding all the rules, especially if they are serving food, or, you know, so that's been some of the challenge and the conversation and the emails back and forth and the frustration.
Yep.
So I guess if we could just put that on the next work session.
And I have a phone call scheduled with the state food inspector to help me understand some of the things that they are checking and inspecting, making sure that fully understanding the concern about doubling up, and I'll double check to see when my phone call is scheduled with him. And
Okay.
Maybe it'll be 2 meetings, but I will get back to you on that.
Yeah, you can just let us know. Okay. Anybody have any questions regarding any of that before? Yeah. Okay, sounds good. So we got about 6 minutes till council meeting, so we'll take a quick break. Call the meeting to order. Please, before you call the roll, I want to say welcome, Victoria Thompson.
Thank you.
It's nice to have the seat filled, and we hope you enjoy your time here. And so go ahead and call the roll.
Thompson. Here. Toohill.
Yes.
Esty.
Yes.
Flournoy.
Yes.
Gandy.
Yes.
Kness.
Yes.
Rowe.
Yes.
Council, are there any changes to the agenda? Okay, hearing none, let's move on to the consent agenda. Approval of the minutes of the September 22nd, 2025 council meeting. Approval of the minutes of the September 23rd, 2025 special council meeting. And approval of the minutes of the October 2nd, 2025 special council meeting. Approval of the September 26th, 2025 payroll in the amount of $155,065.20. Approval of October 10th, 2025 payroll in the amount of $154,730.60. Acceptance of the Beautification Commission minutes. Consent of park use permit for the No Kings Rally, that's a noise exemption. Approval of liquor license for Shar Steakhouse LLC. Approval of ACH payment to the Department of Revenue in the amount of $25,231.41. Approval of special claim, that's for WEX in the amount of $3,437.18. And approval of total claims in the amount of $617,727.72. We had 3 claims over 75,000. One was Alliant Energy, 86,181.50. One for Waste Management, 82,181.76, and Jetco Inc., $162,095. And this is for our water system controls. Controls the level of water in the towers and the wells. That's the way I understand it. And so, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Gandy.
Second.
Second by Kness. Any discussion?
I did review the claims and they all seemed in order.
Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Gandy.
Yes.
Kness.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Esti.
Yes.
Flournoy.
Yes.
Rowe.
Yes.
Toohill.
Yes.
Great, thank you. The consent agenda was approved unanimously. So we have tonight 3 public appearances. Vicky Malloy is first, and requesting dog leash signs on the trail. And I will just say that we know Vicky was working with Judy Ham previously, and it's kind of got installed, so she's back to talk about it again. So, go ahead, Vicky.
Hello, my name is Vicky Malloy. I live at 1105 Lakeview Drive. And the reason why I'm here is because in the past year there's been some dog attacks that took place in Fairfield. One was a young girl who was at a birthday party and the neighbor's dog got loose, ran out and attacked her. A few months later it happened in my neighborhood. Next door neighbor dog got loose, 2 dogs got loose and ran to my neighbor's house who was going to be here, but I guess she couldn't make it tonight, and attacked her dog and killed it in front of her 11-year-old daughter. So I just started doing some research because I thought it was just so horrible that these things are happening, and we don't really have much of a leash law. It's $25 fine if your dog is, gets loose, and you don't see any signage, really much signage around town. So I just started doing some research about dog attacks, and what I found was that there are 4.5 million dog bites per year, and over 800,000 of them need medical attention. The number of fatal dog attacks has increased in recent years from an average of 40 to 100 after the pandemic. And some of the surrounding areas, their leash laws, like for instance Des Moines, is $291 for animals off leash in city parks, $86 for trespassing on private property. And then Ottumwa, they're pretty strict because they've had some fatalities there with dogs. Their fine for the first citation is $250, and then it goes up in $250 increments, with the third violation usually ending the dog's life. So I'm proposing to this council if we could update the current penalty of $25 to $75. And this would be in order to deter, owners from being lax about the leash law. And I also feel we really need to have some signs put up. Signage is really important. I know it's not going to solve the problem, but people don't even follow, the driving signs that we have. But it's something there. So I thought entrances to Howard Park, Chautauqua, Loop Trail, Pleasant Plains, Pleasant Lake, and Central Park would be some areas that we could have some signs made. When I was here months ago with Judy, Melanie Carlson came up with a sign. I think that we need to tweak it a bit, but gave us an idea. Yeah, why don't you pass it around? This is my neighbor, Bar McLaughlin. She lives on Lakeview Drive as well.
And we have dogs running in our yard all the time from the trail.
Bar,
And they don't have.
why don't you attend to everybody?
Yeah. Pass them this way.
Oh, okay. So anyway, so this is what Melanie came up with, and I think that the sign should also say on it that it's $75 penalty, and also aggressive dogs, when they're out in public, they should have a muzzle. So this is the course of action I'm presenting to the City Council, and to see if this is something that we can, just kind of get a little bit more firm on and do something about.
So whether it's out in the parks or private property, you're requesting that the fine be $75?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that any, in contradiction with any of our the current ordinance?
Is it $50
Just a change,
now?
it's just a change.
Because it's on some, we do have some signs, and I think
I think it's $25. I
Is
think
it
that's
only
what,
25?
John, we
Okay.
were talking about that last time. Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
done because years ago, we had 6 months of hearings on our animal control
Yeah, right.
ordinance. It's about 12 pages long, and a lot of people lobbied to have the fine as low as possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Times changed.
Well,
But
there's
even
inflation.
signs would be helpful, even
Yeah.
if you don't put the amount on the sign. I think a sign would be really good. There's a lot more dogs, I think, I see around Fairfield, and most of them are on leashes too, but some of them aren't.
Yeah.
And also, you know, if you have a dog that keeps on getting loose, you know, people need to report that to the police so that there's a trail on that dog, and then something could be done about it if they're hurting people,
Okay.
you know, or other animals.
Yeah.
So I just think it's something that needs some attention, and maybe
Yeah.
enforce a little bit more strongly.
Okay. Melanie, are these something that the prison industries can make, or would you go somewhere else for these signs?
Oh, I forgot that you were.
It's all right. Prison, I'm really not sure what Prison Industries is constructing anymore. We have been getting some quotes from AEA is doing some printing as well. That's
Okay.
pretty low cost. So we can, if not Prison Industries, we can also talk to AEA.
Okay. So council, do you want to take this to work session and talk about the fine? You want to take it to public safety? Which would you prefer? Anybody have a preference? Public safety would be, Victoria, that would be your committee. Anybody have a preference?
Maybe now it might be good to bring it to work session,
Okay,
since Victoria's just new in the
Okay.
council.
yeah,
And I think we're doing the work sessions to kind of eliminate some of the
Right.
committee meetings. So
Okay.
I don't think this probably warrants an entire committee meeting.
okay.
study session.
Yeah, study session.
Study
Okay,
Just put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
okay. Yep, we'll do that. Great. We'll put this on the next work session, talk about the fine, and I agree, if it's, you know, it's $25, that, pretty much anybody's gonna pay that and not think. You gotta have a little bit more of a bite.
What is it?
No pun intended, yeah, right. That sounds
we
like
are
Paul's.
starting with
That's
puns
fine.
already. It's gonna be a long meeting.
It's only 10 after 7. Sorry, I took
No.
Paul's job.
I think this is related to, so ordinance 1187, which was done in July of 2020. Honestly, just doing this real quickly, I'm not sure if this applies to animals, what part of animal control. So, but it has $50 for the first offense, 75 for the second offense, and 100 for the third offense. But I'm not sure if that's related to the like not licensing your dog, or if it's related. So I'll have to look into it a little bit more. But
I think it has to do with dogs off leash.
Off leash?
Yeah, because we do have some signs.
20
I don't know if people pay attention to them, but we have them in Chautauqua Park, and they're on the trails too. And I think it talks about the fine amount.
and I
But
think
maybe having a visual might be something that people will pay more attention to.
yeah. So it looks like this is what I was reading is the enforcement section related to chapter 612, which is any of the dog control. So whether it's the number not being licensed or
Okay.
running loose.
Okay, well, we can certainly look at the amount, and certainly I would encourage, if dogs are in your yard, take pictures, and if you find out who the owner is, you can always turn that over to the police. That's proof, right? So, that they're off leash and they're running around, so I would encourage people to do that. Especially if it's, you know, in your neighborhood and you know who the dog belongs to. So, with the date and time, you know, you have to document. That's what I'm saying, is basically document those instances. Okay, next up is Chris Sorflaten.
Hello. So, did everyone get my email? Look through it.
No, we didn't get an email, but we got it attached to the agenda.
I didn't hear that, but.
It's attached to the
It's
agenda.
attached to the agenda.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you didn't send us an email.
Okay. So yeah, this is a really great grant. I don't need city approval to do it, but I thought I would come and check with you guys, see if there's any water quality projects you had in mind. Yeah, let's.
Chris, do you want to just explain what this grant is and what you're proposing
Yeah.
for the public so they understand?
Yeah, so it's a $500,000 water quality grant to reduce. The idea of the grant is to reduce cost of drinking water and reduce the cost of sewage. So, being the Beaver person, of course, I concocted a plan to turn Crow Creek all the way through Chautauqua Park and as much as possible into a beaver wetland megalopolis or something. And then the idea was, well, how is that going to reduce the cost of drinking water? And the idea is that that will create more volume of water and more surface area of water to penetrate the cone that our wells create. So, so I've been studying up on hydrogeology, and yeah, when you have an artesian well like that, it creates a cone of dryness. So that cone of dryness, I'd be willing to bet that it encompasses Crow Creek. And so right now we have Walton Lake being our main source of aquifer replenishment. I'm not exactly sure where our wells are, but we have 3 wells, and I think they're right around Walton Lake. And so then I looked, and the DNR has a really great website where they publish all the reports from our water plant. And so our 3 wells are dropping an average rate of 4.5 feet a year. One of them, well 7, which is the one we use the most, is dropping at 7.5 feet a year. So I calculated that if well 7 continues on that same rate of decline, it will have to be, it will go into tier 2 water level warning within about 5 to 10 years, and tier 3 water level warning in about 10 to 20 years. And so, of course, the water treatment plant wouldn't let that happen. They would switch to using the other wells to kind of balance it out and not get flagged and get the permit pulled. But it is a thing. And Ottumwa had their permit pulled in 1968, so that was one of the things I discovered.
I have a question.
And after their, yeah.
Do you want to let him have his time first?
After their well dropped 110 feet. So right now, well 7 has already dropped 60 feet, just in the last 7 years, and it's an exponential curve. So things could, turn south real quick. And anyway, question?
If you're done.
Okay.
And we do have Steve here from Water Department that he can
Okay.
address some things too. But go ahead, Chris.
Hi, Steve.
Go ahead and finish.
Okay, so I took a video. So my name is on the Beaver Institute website as the state representative for Iowa. So James Cronin is the state biologist who contacted me, and he's really interested in beaver technology, helping the water quality in the state, because we have the worst water quality in the world, or at least the country. And that's a state goal, is to become the number 2 worst water quality in the country. And so beavers work for free, so what a great way to clean up the water. And and then I had another idea to plant emergent vegetation into Walton Lake while it's down, because emergent vegetation will clean the water, and it will put deep roots 10 to 15 feet down through the water that act as straws, so that way the Walton Lake will help to refill the aquifer faster too, because it has all these straws going through it. And then I talked to the DNR today, and they said, no, we didn't want to do that because they're going to drain the lake again in a few years, and they didn't want to mess up all their work. So I had this other idea well, what we could do is grow the stuff and then transplant it into the Crow Creek, have it be like a wetland nursery. Anyway, so I do have a 1:40 video you guys can watch. I emailed it to you guys, and it shows different beaver technology. So like we have different fences to control the water level, and we have different style dams called diversion dams, where the beavers can dam where we want them to and not where we don't want them to. And Melanie Carlson expressed to me that we don't want the sewer pipes to get flooded by beaver water. So that would be the technology we would use to avoid that problem.
Question, Doug?
So, how, so you're gonna build dams along Crow Creek at a certain interval?
Yeah.
And that's gonna back up the water and provide for more
Yep.
pressure on the aquifer to fill it up?
Yes.
So what kind of result would you expect? If we're dropping at, what, 4 feet per year, you said?
Yeah.
So what will it be down to, like?
Well,
1
the
foot?
data will show. So at this point, it's kind of a hypothesis, and I emailed the state hydrogeologist, and I believe he is on the government shutdown list too. So James Cronin, the state biologist, he's not working right now. So I'm assuming the state hydrogeologist isn't working right now either. But it is a hypothesis and a good one. I stand by it. I'm sure a lot of people, I've talked to Steve and other people, and they're all like, it won't refill the aquifer. There's 200 feet of clay there. Water doesn't go through clay. Well, I know water goes through clay, especially when you have straws going through the top level of the clay. And what will happen is the clay will puff up, and it will become hydric soil. So hydric soil is ancient wetland soil that when you get it wet again, it puffs up, and it likes being wet like that.
So how many years will it take to finish the Crow Creek project?
Well,
How
1 year.
1 year to get all the dams in,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then you'll have metrics to measure the impact on the aquifer?
That's right. Yeah.
And what population of beavers would you expect to be in that area? The reason I'm asking is because
they don't have birth control, so it could be a problem.
Well, it has a
where they
carrying,
kind of
has a
spill
carrying
up.
capacity, so.
Yeah. There will. We could look at a curve, but.
Well, you don't have to do all that. I just, I know that in some areas there's too many beavers and the farmers are shooting them, and they're a nuisance.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, so there will be some backlash for that reason, but it's part of nature. Iowa has the worst quality in the country. Let's do something. Something's got to get done, and this is a great.
I'm not saying don't do
thing
it.
to
I'm just, we got to think about the outcomes.
Yeah.
As a result of what we do.
And with the whole Trump tariffs thing, and you could predict that there's going to be less farms being farmed. So what a great opportunity to take that surplus land that's recently taken out of rotation and turn it into treatment wetlands for beavers and wildlife and tourism. Iowa could be a tourist state again, like it used to be.
So who would do the work? Is that going to be hired out, or?
I would do the work, or we could bid it out, or whatever, do an open bid, or
The DNR is overseeing all this.
Yeah, we would have to get DNR permits and Army Corps of Engineer permits, and they are very much in favor of this project. They're doing similar projects up in the Dubuque, Decorah area.
That's great.
So is this a new kind of thing then, in the sense that are there other projects that have already been successful like this?
It's a relatively new thing. So beaver science is still in its infancy. It's only kind of started to come around in the 90s in New York State, because they were like, what's going on in the Adirondacks? So they sent a team in there, and they decided that there was no beavers. So New York State became the first state to protect beavers, and since then we've seen a resurgence on the West Coast, East Coast, and the Rockies, and the desert areas especially love beavers, like Utah, like Nevada and Utah especially really love. So that's where a lot of the research is right now. But this will be a first of its kind project in Iowa, and possibly the Midwest.
So Oh, are you all done with your questions, Doug?
Yeah.
Anybody else have questions?
I do.
Yeah.
Where do you think the main deep well is for Fairfield?
Around Walton Lake is what I heard.
Yeah.
Haven't you ever looked into it?
I should have. I'll make a note of that.
Hey, Steve, can you come up and talk about the wells real quick? So I think you can explain where those are and give your thoughts on this. And you have a little time yet before this has to be
Well, it's
in.
November 5th.
So I don't know if council wants to discuss further, but
Well, the Jordan Aquifer is 2,000 feet deep. It's not clay, it's bedrock. That's got to go through. It takes years and years to replenish that thing. So we're actually drinking old well or old water, and it starts up in northeast Minnesota, runs diagonally all across Iowa. I don't know how this would help. I haven't heard anything about it. And then for our wells, we've got one over at Walton, right behind the dam. And then we've got another one up at Pleasant Plain Lake.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have another one at the plant. So we have 3 of them.
So they're pretty far apart.
Yeah.
and do you have a way to measure?
We take
these?
drawdowns every month, static and drawdowns. And we turn all that into DNR. They've never mentioned anything about we're in critical condition at all. And our well casings go down 488 feet. So, we've got, like I said, 2,000 feet. We can extend those deeper if we have to,
Mm-hmm.
as time goes on.
So one of them is at bedrock though, isn't it?
Yeah, that whole aquifer's in bedrock.
And you can go beyond the bedrock?
Yeah, when they drill those wells, they go down through the bedrock and into the aquifer itself.
Oh, I see.
Then they slide the casing down.
And they can go another 1,000 feet or?
Well, once you're into the aquifer, you're in it. Yeah, you
Yeah,
can just
but
add on casing pipe to go deeper.
It's lowering
deeper.
though, isn't it?
What's that?
He said it was dropping.
I haven't heard anything.
The cone is dropping,
I
so
haven't heard
the
anything.
water's deep, the water level's deeper down where the pump is or where we touched
Only
it
when you
on.
have the pump on does it cause that cone of depression when you're pumping water out of it.
Okay.
And that varies when you're doing the static and the drawdown. You may be pumping 1,000 gallons a minute. There's some days we may have to pump 1,500 gallons a minute. So your cone of depression goes down, but then when it shuts off, and we rotate those wells.
So it's
every
refilling.
month. What's that?
You're saying to me that's refilling when you shut them off and switch to a different well.
Yeah.
So you're not just using one well, like,
No.
I thought that's what he said.
No, we alternate them.
Okay.
We do that for electrical cost.
But that also allows the aquifer to refill and then you can
Yeah.
go back to the
I mean,
third.
it takes a long time to fill that aquifer, but Mason City's on the same aquifer. There's a lot of municipalities on this aquifer.
Okay, council, how do you want to proceed?
Sounds like there's not.
Nothing we can do, I don't think.
Right? I mean, although it does say that the loan, the grant application talks about it being for communities, so the city doesn't need to sign off on it or anything like that.
Yeah.
So you're just coming to say, hey, I'm applying for this grant.
Yeah, and if we could get permission to do it through Chautauqua, it would be nice.
Yeah, but he'd be working on city ground,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So I think that's where your permission comes in.
I would be curious too, how much is this gonna back water up?
Mm-hmm.
What's it gonna overtake? Is this gonna cause a flooding issue?
I mean, if you need a permission right now, then I feel like I certainly don't have enough information to give it. If you need that before you apply for the grant.
Well, like Melanie said too, some of the sewer lines cross the creek. So you don't want the water too high because then you can have a lot of logs and stuff coming down through and hooking into those. But
Right.
Would it make sense to have Chris sit with Steve and go over what he's proposing and have Steve give us his opinion? Seems like he would know.
What's that?
I think it might make sense to have you sit with Chris sit with you and go over what Chris is proposing.
Oh.
And then maybe you could report back to the city in a timely fashion. So I'd like to hear your opinion once you know more.
Yeah, I could get with you.
And maybe Melanie too.
Well, I'm a little confused here. I thought you said the DNR was overseeing this project.
Would oversee.
Yep.
I think you
Yep,
said
we
it
would.
would.
Yeah. If you get the grant, then they'll be overseeing.
Yeah, yes.
And won't they have provisions for all the concerns that Steve raised
Yes,
or not?
absolutely, yeah. We'll probably have to get 5 permits or so for all the areas we want to build dams, and Army Corps of Engineers permits, and I'll bet you the state hydrogeologist will chime in there too.
And you said earlier you don't need our permission to proceed.
Correct.
Is that now or after the money is here?
Either way, we have enough private property people interested that we could always just do it on that land.
I see.
So you have to get permits anyway after you are awarded the grant, so,
Correct.
okay.
yeah.
But those are all state and federal. Sounds like, right?
State.
You said Army Corps of Engineers, that'd be federal, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but they still issue the grants for building dams.
So I think, Melanie, you got something to say.
So the city is responsible for all of the construction within the floodplain of Crow Creek. So there would be that permission that the city would have to give.
Even if it's on private property?
Correct. If it's within the city limits. Normally, I approve those, but most of what we get are no impact permits where, you know, it's a concrete pad for for somebody's recreation, or it's somebody planting a tree. You know, I mean, it's something that's not impactful to the. Honestly, most of the permits are us building sanitary sewer, but anything else requires elevation certificates and things of that nature. And so something that causes water to back up, I would probably bring to the council for approval.
Well, it sounds like, again, a more thorough meeting with you and Steve and DNR and, you know, is at least warranted.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense to me. So that would mean Chris would reach out to Steve, right?
Yes.
Instead of some time to talk about it more, and Melanie as well.
Well, I think I could go ahead and just apply for the grant now, and then if we get the grant, then
Worry about
have the
it.
conversations.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, you might as well just do that because you can't proceed if you need our permission until you get it. And you said it'll take a year to finish the project, right?
Yeah, but we need the permission before we start the project.
All right,
Yeah.
if that's us.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah.
So go ahead and apply for the grant, and if you get it awarded, then we can have all the conversations. If you don't, then it's a moot point.
Well, I don't think that's. I mean, I think you still want to talk with the water department, Steve,
Yeah.
right? Because you're going into city permission if you get the grant. I don't think we're talking about a long, drawn-out conversation or number of discussions.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
Right.
But I would get DNR involved also, and Melanie.
Yeah, and I'll do
Yeah.
some checking too.
Yeah, okay. Okay, great. And then hopefully you can know something more towards the end of October before the grant goes in. So if you could come back at the next meeting
27th.
with more information, that would be great.
Okay.
Are you looking at any other locations besides Crow Creek?
Yeah, I'm actually writing the grant for another municipality too.
Oh, okay, but no other locations in town, you're just focusing on the Crow Creek area, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, like I said.
Hey, Chris, can you come to the microphone, please?
Sorry.
Yeah, like I was saying, it's a great opportunity to plant wetland emergent grasses and wetland wildflowers in Walton Lake. Great opportunity for that, but we would need special permission from the DNR in order
Yeah.
to do that, and I think that that would have to come from you guys.
Yeah. And I think it sounds to me like, I mean, I don't know enough about it, but I know that there is interest by the DNR to have a much more comprehensive plan out there.
Yeah,
So it's a little premature, probably,
I just talked-
to do that.
I just talked to them today, and they're like, "No, don't want to do it. Don't do it. We don't. It'd be illegal for you to do it. Don't even think about it. We'll give you special permission." And then I was thinking about it all day, like, what's going to happen? Okay, well, and this is what Chad Dolan told me. So the golf course sprays a huge amount of fertilizer on all that grass. So what happens is all that fertilizer runs off into the lake and creates a massive algae bloom. But right now we don't have an algae bloom because there's carp eating the algae. So that's the whole great thing about draining the lake, is to get rid of the carp, right? Because carp create a cyanotoxin from their poop, and which is a toxic blue-green algae, and it looks pretty to the eye, but it's horrible water. It's bad for the fish. They eat all the dragonflies, so the birds can't eat dragonflies. There's more mosquitoes because the dragonflies can't eat the mosquitoes, and it's so it's a huge problem across the Midwest, carp, and it's horrible. So what's going to happen is the algae is going to grow, and then somebody's going to throw carp in there to eat the algae, and we're going to go right back to how it was. But if we do have wetland vegetation there, that will clean the water and absorb those nutrients and turn the nutrients back into air, and then we won't have algae, and it'll be beautiful. There'll be dragonflies everywhere, and birds, and
Well, again, I think it's premature.
Yeah.
Because, we're drawing down versus draining the lake at this moment. So that's a much bigger plan.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I think we'll get there.
Okay.
It's just not this year.
Yeah.
So, okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ed Noyes.
Say thank you, Chris. The beavers are doing an amazing job out there, and they've been proven to restore ecosystems all around the world. So appreciate what you're doing. I want to thank everyone for the time and attention that you put into this Walton Club thing. It's an unbelievable amount of time and energy and input and thinking and all that. I really appreciate it. I want to say a special thank you to John Morrissey. Him and I are talking now openly in long conversations. So that's a beautiful thing when you can do that. It just helps to solve a lot of problems. You have received what's called an amended offer of compromise, and it's an offer made in good faith to resolve all outstanding issues involving the Walton Lake Bridge and the drawdown. There's a lot of issues going on, as you know. We're getting late into the year. The culvert apparently takes 120 days before it can arrive. That would put us at January 13th right now. However, the weather is good right now, so it's nice out there. And the drawdown is right around 5 feet. And if you go back and you look at the June 9th report, it was suggested that the bridge could be removed at 9 feet. So here we are. We could remove the bridge right now in good weather and accomplish something that would be seen as a victory, I think, for the city and also for the citizens, because it gives a purpose to the drawdown, independent of the continuation of that. And I also want to say I have been told that there's efforts being made to look at the possibility of the suspension bridge, primarily because of what Chad Dolan has said, both in the past and then recently. It is clear, and I don't think it can be refuted, that the culvert will cut off the flow of water between the two lakes. It will effectively result in a silt pond on the north part of the lake. That will hurt the fishing for that. That's where the families come to fish. So it'll impact that. Plus, we also know that it'll deny access forever to the fishermen. If the city decides to go forward with the suspension bridge, it solves multiple problems. It allows, for example, the DNR, which was just confirmed the other day, if they could raise that bridge by 5 feet, and the DNR could just come in from the current north access point. It would save the city the funds that it's going to have to build the second access point. So it solves a lot of problems there. So I'm thankful, and I'm hopeful, actually, and it would be great to be able for all of us to just relax, including myself. It's not fun for anyone, really, I don't think, but it would be great. So you were sent that amended offer, and it's a good faith offer. We would dismiss all legal actions entirely. All we're asking for is that the city look into the possibility right now of removing the bridge. I think it's a great opportunity. In fact, I went out there, my wife was out there measuring the exact depths of the lake today in her little boat there. And if you go to where the abutments are, you're only standing in 2 feet of water. So I believe the purpose of the 5 feet was to expose all of the connection points, the necessary connection points, between the steel I-beams and the abutments and all of that, and that's fully exposed now. So in 2 feet of water, you could go in there, and you could get to work on it, and you could get it removed. The other thing I did is, I sent it to you this afternoon, I apologize, but I did. I sent you a removal plan for how to remove the bridge right now without having to drain the lake. And it certainly can be done. So basically what you would need is you would need a 20 to 25 ton hydraulic excavator with lifting rigging. You would then torch or cut off to saw the beam ends. And then you would use either a winch, you could pull it off with a winch, so you wouldn't even need to have the heavy lifting equipment. You could just get a winch on it and pull it out once it's disconnected. All of that could be done without having to drain any further amount of the lake. You would start off by removing the wood decking and rails. That's not a problem. That could easily be done. And then you would expose the beam bearings, which is where you get in, you look at it. And then you would cut or unbolt the beams. You could do that with a torch or a saw as needed. And then you could lift or slide the beams to the shore. That all could be done without destroying the current abutments, which may be helpful. In fact, you wouldn't want to destroy them if you do decide to go with the suspension bridge. And the rest of it could be lifted out because it's a heck of a lot lighter than these heavy-duty steel beams. So I think it's a decent, it's a good plan, and you can receive that, even a photo of what it would kind of look like for some equipment to remove it, so I gave that to you. And I just want to discuss this in good faith and tell you that this is what we're willing to do, and we'd like to do it.
So I guess I would like also ask Trevor Brown to talk about what was bid and what your process is, and the discussion that we had of
Friday.
Yeah, and you know, the way that you work on that versus not drawing down.
What's your I guess I'm curious what your evaluation is of the current drawdown for your purposes.
Yeah. So.
Mike.
Thank you, Council, Mayor. So the way that the project was originally bid was to draw it down, and I apologize for the better than a crayon sketch that I provided, but we had anticipated that the water level would be down to a point where I called edge of water, where we could have the entire bridge, below the bridge exposed, and then go in and remove the bridge. And then to the north of the current bridge / causeway was the dirt source that we were planning on utilizing to fill in that bridge opening. Put in a core trench on the north side, as was called out on the original design, and then pack in that material, and then put the culvert system in and finish the work. We had offered some alternatives to FrenchReneker as far as how we could do it with some water still in the bottom. They have that information from us, and we're happy to provide any other alternatives as requested. But the original mindset or process we had was to utilize dirt from the north side, where it was the shallowest of the lake based off topography that's available to anyone online. Look at that, once that water was down, the earth could dry out a little bit, and then we could manipulate that material and fill in the current bridge location.
So to work with water still in the lake as being proposed, but also from the original from a while back, right? Mm-hmm. The expense was much more. correct?
It was. I don't have the exact dollar amount. We did provide that to FrenchReneker to go in with, if water was still in the lake, we could bring in an erosion stone, which is basically a 250-pound nominal size crushed limestone, fill in the lake to have a base that we could work off of and build off of and set whatever culvert system was decided upon on top of that.
When do you make the decision? What do you use to evaluate when you make a decision to begin to remove the current bridge?
When the water is, so as is currently set in the bid documents and in our contract with the city, it's to remove it after the water is away from that, or, you know, below, where the water doesn't exist anymore, below the bridge.
Is that the case now? Or is there water still existing beneath the bridge?
There is still water under the bridge.
Do you
yes.
know roughly how much?
I do not. I have not been out there for about 5 days.
But as far as you know, there's water still beneath the bridge?
Yes.
So, yeah, they're hoping the water gets over here. And that's not a full draining of the lake either, according
right.
to
That's
this.
kind of the drawdown level that, you know, obviously the ground is not square and flat. It tapers down to a channel that currently exists below the bridge. We expect that water to be down into that channel or non-existent in that channel for the most part before we remove that bridge.
And Trevor, what equipment do you go in there with?
We would utilize conventional equipment like excavators and bulldozers.
They don't actually go in the lake, though.
Yeah.
It'll be dry. I mean,
Well,
with that method.
With the lake being drained, yes.
Now, the entire lake is not drained. That part is drawn down, correct?
That portion of the lake being drawn down and all the earth exposed.
Go ahead.
I think what Ed is suggesting, that there's 2 feet of water near the abutments currently. Isn't that what you said earlier?
Yeah, we're talking 2 different things here. He's talking about the culvert installation.
No, I know, but we're just,
remove the bridge.
you're just asking.
Currently, yes. The
Just a minute,
answer is
Ed,
yes.
please. You're just asking about withdrawal of the, removal of the existing
That's what I'm
bridge.
saying.
Okay, and you said you thought there was 2 feet of water near the abutments.
There is, exactly.
Okay, so my question to you is, you know, could you go in and remove the bridge adequately with all the concerns that people have about safety and making sure you got rid of all of the debris and pieces that had to be pulled out? Could you do that in 2 feet of water?
I don't believe it would be 2 feet of water consistent across the
Probably
entire
not.
span of the bridge. I would, because we are not the engineer of record, FrenchReneker is, the ones that designed it, got the DNR approval permit. I would rely on them to request from us what it would take to remove the bridge with water still in the lake. We would be happy to provide that information and cost to the city.
But my question is, it's possible.
Yes, anything's possible.
Okay.
Luckily, I think we have someone from FrenchReneker present this evening, Marcus.
Yeah.
Anything's possible with more money, right?
Time and money is all it takes.
Time and money.
Time
okay.
and money, yeah. That's the issue. And that's been the issue all along, ultimately, is the money. And the way it's been designed so far has been the least expensive. But go ahead, Marcus.
Yeah, no, I was going to say the same thing. I think you want to keep draining it down as much as you can to have the most of the bridge exposed, because the more bridge exposed, the less risk you have on something that you don't see when the lakes or the water's not lowered. So
But the water is not translucent.
No, so the water's not very translucent. So and even then, because we don't know exactly how those abutments are, how far they go down below, because the abutments are not just going to stop right when it hits that dirt. It's going to go down farther to make sure it holds it up. So
Likely buried some number of feet.
Exactly. So I think it's be risky not to do it. I mean, like Trevor said, anything's possible, but there is some more risk involved in doing something like that.
We're removing the abutments because they're not stable any longer and we're replacing them.
Well, we're not replacing the abutments, we're replacing with the box culvert.
Okay.
But yeah, we're completely,
But you're removing them,
Correct.
so yeah.
Yes, and
We would
we're
have to
removing them because they're in, as stated before, is that they're in critical condition, they're in
Right.
failing condition. That's what that whole
Right.
bridge report did, is those abutments are failing.
And we
So-
don't need to replace them because of the box culvert, but if we put in a bridge, we would have to replace them.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, you,
All right.
yes, you definitely
Thank
would.
you.
Yep,
And again, that's where more expense comes in.
correct.
I'd like to add,
Steve,
I
go
got
ahead.
that this morning, and I measured from the center of that bridge, and the water's 6 feet deep. Right in the center.
Okay.
So-
And that's where a major piece of the structure is, right? The support structure's right there, right?
There's two piers, there, yes.
That's what I was asking.
Yep.
Okay. Right.
Okay, thank
So
you.
one more thing.
Thanks.
That is true, it's much deeper in the middle. But all of the accessible points, which was, I believe, the reason why it was said that it could be removed at 5 feet in the engineer's report, and you're not considering what you're going to save. You're going to save money by doing this. So I'm looking for a positive resolution this year when we're running out of time to do anything else. And I took it on good faith that I was told the city's looking into the suspension bridge as a concept. I was told that. So I'm acting in good faith that perhaps that is something that could be done down the road.
Who are you talking to who's giving you that idea?
Number of people.
A number of people in the city, in the city who are
Okay,
saying-
so I was told that the city is looking to gain a waiver from the Oskalooska company, who actually bid on the original project, so that the city could pursue a change order with Drish. So I assumed that meant that the city was looking at a change order. Instead of putting a $112,000 culvert in, they could put in a bridge that actually is a little bit less than that. And if you're looking at the cost, you're not considering the savings.
When did we discuss?
That's
the
a
long-term savings that the
misrepresentation.
city's going
I
to
don't know
have.
who's telling you that, but that is a misrepresentation. I mean, like, we have not taken any formal action on talking to the bidder from Oskaloosa or anything.
This is what I was told.
Well, it's not accurate. So I think that this compromise agreement's not a compromise at all. It's just a threat. You say you're going to
Not a
continue
threat.
to sue
No,
us if we don't do exactly what you want in the time that you want it, and you're just wasting taxpayer money at this point while you continue this litigation against the city, knowing that you are most likely not going to be successful. I mean, that's why the judge, nope, it's
I
my turn to
understand
talk,
that.
Ed. That's why the judge didn't grant your request for a TRO. That's one of the elements that he had to weigh, was whether or not you're going to be successful, and he said that you're not going to be. So you're continuing to cost the city money
And why
and-
am I doing that, Elizabeth?
because you want us to put in a more expensive
Why do I want to
bridge.
put a suspension bridge in?
Because you don't want your property
No,
values to
because
change
it's
at all?
better for the lake.
Because,
Long-term, better for the
well,
lake.
you know, first it was better because it was cheaper, because
not
it
my
was
opinion.
$37,000,
It's not my opinion.
and now it's the most expensive option, which it
No,
always
it isn't.
has been. It always has been, according to our engineer.
There was never an RFP done. And you've overestimated the cost.
We don't
because you
put
could just-
RFPs out for projects that cost that
Exactly.
much
So we-
money,
So
Ed.
we have a catch-22?
No, we got
know.
bids. We get bids. We don't do RFPs
Have you
for
looked into
projects
the
that
cost
much.
of installing an 84-foot bridge that sits 6 feet beyond the current abutments on solid ground?
We
Have
looked
you looked
at
at
the
that?
options.
That has been looked at.
Yes.
That won't be solid ground eventually because the abutments will give way.
You reinforce the abutments.
Yeah.
We have to put new abutments
we
in
have to-
at a
You
significant cost.
No,
Yes.
$20,000.
Nope.
No.
According
no.
to
It's not
whom?
true.
No.
You're not an
No.
engineer. This is just a waste of
Yeah.
time.
Yeah,
And
so-
you're costing us money
If I didn't
and
believe
time.
about this, I would not be putting a penny of my own money or my own time into it. It's not me. It's Chad Dolan
Well, I
that's
don't-
saying this, okay?
I don't doubt
Not
that you
me.
believe it. I don't doubt you believe it. I just doubt that it's true.
Yeah. So, okay, so I think we've established from before, because we have looked at all these options, and we've looked at many options that you have brought forth, and had many discussions with our engineers, we've had discussion with Drish. Every option is just significantly more money on the way to do either tearing down and or construction, unfortunately. So anyway, yeah, I don't think it's useful to argue about this right now. I mean, at this point, I think it's been pretty much established. So far, the council has not wanted to make a change from their original decision. So, is there any change, council, in any offer of compromise at this time?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I believe there was only one other bidder when the project was led earlier this year, and that was Leffler Construction.
Correct.
I wasn't aware of another Oskaloosa firm that bid on it.
Then maybe it is left over that they're pursuing, but I was told that.
Okay.
They're from
Huh?
Austin. Leffler is from Austin.
Yeah.
They are from Austin. so-
Yeah, and that bid was, what, 343,000, am I right? 343,000? So quite a bit
Am I wrong,
more.
Melanie, am I wrong? that
What do we do
Leffler-
next?
You were trying to reach Leffler.
Move on.
See if they were waived their 5-year statute, am I wrong?
I'm not talking to them. I don't know who is.
I don't think anybody's talking to them. That was not moved forward to do any such thing. So, anything else, Trevor, from your side?
Unless you have,
More questions?
ma'am, unless you have any questions for me or the council has questions for me, I'm
Okay.
happy to answer anything. But again, I'm trying to maintain the chain of command. The engineer of record is FrenchReneker. Any pricing that we provide, we usually get a request from FrenchReneker, and then we provide that to them, and then they give that to the cities. So
Great.
that's,
Okay, that's one
Thank you.
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just be clear, because I wasn't sure what Tom had asked, and so when you do remove the existing bridge there, right? You're gonna take out everything, right? All the
Yes.
abutments? If you
all
dig,
the wood piling, all the wood railroad
Everything.
tie abutments, the
you'll dig
steel.
down and dig them out and all of that?
Well, yeah, they're wood columns. We'll pull those out. Everything will be gone.
Because that was a reason to take it down to dryness, is to make sure we got everything out of there when the bridge was removed.
That was my understanding on the original bid documents, was to remove the entire structure of the bridge, above and below the water.
And below ground if it's...
And below ground, yes.
And you can't remove that now with the water in there. You
I-
couldn't remove those wood columns with water in there.
We absolutely could. Again, I would ask that FrenchReneker give us a request for proposal, and we would.
It's a lot more
price that
expensive
out.
because of the rock that you have to put in there.
And don't quote me, but I think we looked at that, and if I remember, it was 75,000 to put the.
All
to
the
put-
wood columns?
No, to put the
Right.
banking in to hold what they would need to pull out, what they had to pull out. To do it with the water in there, it was an additional
Oh, to put in the
75,000.
the special dams?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Well,
what-
it wasn't the dams even, it was the
I think it's rock.
rock, basically.
Rock to
Yes.
hold it up so you
To
can
hold it up, so,
remove the abutment.
Yeah.
to take
But
the
that's-
abutments out without it all caving, yeah.
That's a change order to do it this way, with the water in there still.
So,
Yes,
It
it
would have
would be
to
a change order, even if it was a zero cost change order, it would still be a change order because it changes the scope of the project. We try to keep everything straight and clean and
But it wouldn't be a zero-cost change order either.
Right.
no,
No, it would be much more
Can you
expensive.
ballpark it for us?
no, I will not.
That's smart.
Less than $500,000.
Okay, so let's move on to resolution, action items, and ordinances. First action item is consideration of contract with Pathfinders for the replacing of the downtown restroom project. Deb's not here. Who's gonna speak to this? Do we have somebody? You wanna speak about this?
What I know, if I can remember correctly, is they are wanting to, the Beautification Commission is wanting to hire Pathfinders. I believe the email is in there.
Yep.
And I really had to think back that I'm not real sure if the cost to hire Pathfinders is $7,000.
7,500.
7,500, and they have money from private donors to pay for $7,000. They would like to use $500 of beautification funds to hire Pathfinders to apply for this grant.
So they don't want new money, they want to change their budget item?
They would, yes, they would like to use general fund money, I believe, to.
Well, you can't get a grant to write a grant, so it's going to be a donor. So they'll need,
Yeah, but we give them local option sales tax.
well, I know,
not
we give
general
them
fund.
12,000 a year about, but they want to do a change in their budget
Mhm.
to let that $500 be released to put toward this grant application. And then they're going to find a donor to get the remaining 7,000 to give the Pathfinders to write the grant for the remodeling of the bathrooms. Is that what's going on?
Yes.
Is this the same grant that she talked about before? It must be, right?
I think so. I think she came and spoke to
It
us. about
identifies, sorry,
Yep.
to pursue all identified grants, so. There's apparently more than one.
Well, I guess I would, has her committee should vote to change their budget.
To me, it's a bigger question on, are we behind a public bathroom
Well-
as the city council for them to pursue this?
Rebuilding was one of the options the property committee considered. The other one was to sell the property. And the other one was to turn it into like a visitor center / bathroom. And then she came forward with this idea to reconstruct it. She brought us some drawings, and she wants to write a grant to accomplish that. And we told her she could go ahead and proceed the last time she was here. That's my recollection.
But you requested more information, that she bring all that information back, what it would look like.
I remember her bringing drawings. They were exterior pictures of what the
Yeah, there's some renderings.
renderings, I guess
Yeah.
you'd call it. And I thought she was going to apply for the casino money,
That was the one specific one she spoke about, you're right.
which we almost have never gotten grants from the casino.
Almost
Yeah.
never?
Almost never.
Never.
But didn't we just apply?
City
for
hasn't
some?
gotten anything, I don't
No.
think. City of Fairfield. The government, City of Fairfield, I don't think.
Well, we already approved this. All she's asking now is for a change in her budget item to give $500 to Pathfinders to pay for the grant writing. And then she's going to raise the rest of it.
Well, I don't think you officially approved it. I think you wanted her to come back with more information. But in theory, I think you were open to it.
Well, I thought we did it here, and I don't know how long ago it was, or what
Yeah.
meeting, but what's the deadline for the grant application?
I don't think it, I don't.
Is it a
can see
rule?
I think it's already been passed for this fall.
Yeah, it's to hire Pathfinders
To search out
right,
grants.
Yeah, to submit grants.
Right, but what's the deadline for the, is it a rolling application, or is there a due
I
date?
For
don't
the
think they've
casino, I
identified
think
a
it's
grant.
spring and fall.
Okay, so why don't we just table this until,
But I don't know
She-
if they're looking at that one specifically. I think they want Pathfinders to
look for a grant?
look, to search out grants and
Oh,
apply.
It
well,
sounds like maybe Pathfinders found some, because in Krista's email it says, if we pursue all of the identified grants. So I'm guessing they've already identified them. Maybe we need Deb to come in and explain some things.
Well, do you want to table it till next time when she can be here?
yeah, I think we should table it. I'm
Okay.
going to table it.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, it's moved by Flournoy, second by Esty to table this until next meeting. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Flournoy?
Yes.
Esty?
Yes.
Kness?
Yes.
Gandy?
Yes.
Rowe?
Yes.
Toohill?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Okay, great. Let's just get more clarification. Next action item is consideration of change order. Oh, sorry.
No, I just had a thought. If, I know it's a lot, could you look up and see what actually, if we took any action prior in another meeting when she was here the first time?
At the last time, I thought it was that we approved her for the Washington County
That's what I
riverboat.
Right.
Yes.
remember.
Yes.
Right. That's right.
Yeah, I think
specifically
this is
just for
totally
that
outside
one.
the scope of what we
No.
discussed was hiring.
That's why I said I thought we had already approved her to move forward on that.
I think it was just that
But
one.
now we're just gonna approve her going through, okay, next meeting or next time we see her, we should approve her to go through Pathfinders and do whatever grant she wants to do.
But she's asking for money now, right?
No.
No,
Not $500.
it's
Just to
changing
change her budget.
in her
I see.
line item
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
on her budget.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Next action item is consideration of change order for Walton Club Cart Bridge project. Oh, Marcus?
Good evening, Council. Yeah, I included a kind of a letter with that change order, kind of explaining what this change order is for. Mainly, it's just a change order for the contract because the late start date has already passed for this project just due to the delays with the drawdown. So the idea with this change order is that you would remove the late start date of August 18th, 2025, and then that would be basically would be removed, and the new late start would be established when myself, Melanie, and Drish meet on site and determine that the lake is dry enough to begin work, and that's when the late start would begin, and then the contractor would not be getting charged late start day or working days during the winter from November 15th to April 1st. That's pretty standard for Iowa DOT projects because it's not great working weather. So at the contractor's discretion, they can just begin working and not be charged working days. And then the last one is they would not be charged working days to remove the bridge and substructure because I believe they could get in there, remove it as soon as possible and then they could let the lake dry out a little bit more before earth moving operations need to happen. And reason with that was just where they can remove it in a timely manner. And just in case, sorry I didn't explain earlier, like a working day, with this project is a working day project, so they've got 30 working days to complete the project, which they get charged a working day at the beginning of the late start date or when they begin work, whichever is sooner, and they've only been able to begin work, so that's why no working days has been charged. And then a working days charge is basically any weekday, weather permitting. So if there's bad weather and they can't work due to rain, they just don't get charged a working day. And then obviously Saturday and Sunday, Saturday, Sundays, and holidays, they don't get charged working days. So.
Okay.
Can you explain this concept of being charged for working days? You have a certain number of days to finish the project?
Yes.
And we're gonna let them start on removing the bridge, and we're not gonna put that against their number of days they're allowed to finish the project. Is that what you're saying?
Correct, because that would just because they would most likely mob in and try to remove the bridge as soon as possible, and then let the lake dry out a little bit more before they begin full operation.
So we're just extending the amount of time they have to do the work.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And the reason why we did a working day contract was we mainly wanted to constrain the contractor for basically we want them to mobilize in, get the project done, and get out. We didn't want to draw it down and then not get the project done and mob in and mob out. So that's why the 30 working days was written into the contract.
Marcus, wasn't the contract back last spring something that allowed 30 to 60 days?
It allowed 30 working days, to my knowledge.
I was thinking we had some flex in there.
Yeah, it's 30 working days, but typically it's different than calendar. Like it would be different than calendar days because there'd probably been a rain day and something like that in there. So I think we might have anticipated 30 to 60 days to the work to be completed, just because of weather dependent. That might have been where that may have came from. I'm not 100% sure though.
Okay, great.
So I was gonna move to the change order.
Yeah.
I was looking for a name for it, but I don't see one.
I move to approve the change order for Walton Golf Cart Bridge Project.
Okay.
Okay, moved by Gandy.
Second.
Second by Flournoy. Any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Gandy?
Yes.
Flournoy?
Yes.
Toohill?
Yes.
Kness?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Esty?
Yes.
Rowe?
Yes.
Thank you. That was approved unanimously. Next is consideration of engineering service agreement with FrenchReneker Associates for Walton Lake drone survey. You have seen this before, and they're bringing it back to you.
Yeah, I think it was at someone's request to bring this back, and I don't know if it got included, but I included what kind of all encompassed with that drone survey. So the one thing with the DNR sonar, it only will get the main lake with our drone survey, we plan on survey or getting all the little other fingers up and above to get a more encompassing area of the entire lake.
More comprehensive?
More comprehensive. It would be, yeah, it would encompass more area.
Yeah.
So, and the drone survey is very accurate too. I would say was what you would get within a couple tenths, and I forget what Chad Dolan said. I think they were more plus or minus a foot or 6 inches. I could be wrong on that, but the drone survey will be a little bit more accurate.
Is it like a map of the lake?
Yep. So we'll get an elevation of what is exposed, and then we'll also provide a high resolution aerial photography.
It'll give us a starting point too for erosion, so we can do the same drone survey in 5 years and see where the banks have eroded out.
And you share that with DNR? Yes?
We can,
Or is that
yeah.
ours and we share?
Yeah, it's yeah. I think it's your guys's, so you could share it with them. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
What percentage of the bottom will be mapped in this fashion?
I'm on. It depends how much has been what's all been silted in. So it's kind of hard to say what that would be. But I mean, we want that edge of water line to go south of the bridge. So I mean, we would at least to there. I mean, all those upper fingers are going to be pretty dry too. So all those would be mapped.
Okay. I'm just curious as why we're doing this now, not waiting for complete drawdown to get the whole lake mapped.
I think kind of what Tom said is that you could kind of see a rate of erosion or in those
parts
kind
of the
things.
lake.
Yep.
Okay.
And then you might not get the entire bottom, but you'll also get the shorelines and everything like that. Unlike the DNR, they will not be able to really get the shorelines. They're mainly just going to be sonar in for the bottom. So this would give you a little bit more outside because the drone survey is going to encompass the outside the lake area too. So the area that I have shown, we'll probably go a little bit of hair outside that just to make sure we get everything we want encompassed.
But you're not going to do like this tomorrow. You're going to wait.
No,
You're going to wait till the drawdown is a little bit
yes,
further, correct?
Honestly, we would try to stage it we work with Drish a little bit to stage it because we want to know when they get the started placing the fill, so that way we got the new bottom of the lake. Because they're using the bottom of the lake to fill the dam, so we try to stage that the best we can. It might not happen perfectly because we want to make sure we get most of it encompassed.
Got it.
Move to approve engineering services agreement with FrenchReneker.
Second.
Moved by Gandy, second by Toohill. Any discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Gandy?
Yes.
Toohill?
Yes.
Rowe?
Yes.
Kness?
Yes.
Flournoy?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Esty?
Yes.
Just a quick question again.
Yeah.
So we saw on the map here where they're going to take dirt to build the culvert base, right?
Yep.
That's not silt though, is it?
They're going to push the silt out of the way. They're not going to use silt to fill the dam. It is silted in, but they're going to push the silt out and use good clay to fill in.
Silt is not suitable material to use.
No, you wouldn't want to use silt to fill the dam.
Okay.
Okay, so that was approved unanimously. Next action item, consideration to set public hearing on the Adams Avenue project. You going to talk about that too?
Yeah, I can go ahead and talk about that one. This is for the resurfacing of Adams Avenue from 6th Street to Main Street, and this is just to set the public hearing for that project. It'd be for the plan would be open to bids the first meeting in November. I forgot to write that date down, but it would be consider bids the first meeting in November, and I forget what date that is, and
Wow.
Yeah, 10th.
Okay. So council, is there a motion to set public hearing
So
for
moved.
Monday, October 27th?
Move to set the public hearing on the Adams Avenue project to Monday, October 27th at 7 p.m.
Moved by Esty,
Second.
second by Gandy. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Esty?
Yes.
Gandy?
Yes.
Kness?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Toohill?
Yes.
Rowe?
Yes.
Flournoy?
Yes.
Great, thank you. That was approved unanimously to set the public hearing. Next action item, consideration of accepting Highway 1 as final and authority to immediately release retainage.
So on Highway 1, the final field completion was actually about a year ago in October 31st of 24. Been finalizing some punch list items, did a DOT audit of the books, so there was actually a 2-cent change in one of the pay items. So with the 3,000 in liquidated damages that was discussed, I think back in February, the final pay amount or retainage amount to be released is $26,999.98. Because it has been almost a year since the work was actually complete, we're also requesting that the retainage be paid immediately rather than waiting the 30 days.
I make the motion that we immediately release the retainage for the Highway 1 project.
Okay, moved by Flournoy.
Accept the project as final and release the retainage.
Oh, I'll make the motion to accept the project as final and to immediately release the retainage for Highway 1.
I'll second that one.
Second by Toohill.
I'll second that one.
Okay, is there any discussion? Now please call the roll.
Flournoy.
Yes.
Toohill.
Yes.
Kness.
Yes.
Esti.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Rowe.
Yes.
Gandy.
Yes.
Thank you. Next is the matter of amendment to Chapter 11.4 Recreation Activities on Reservoir. I think I'll let you talk about this, Melanie, and then I'll open the public hearing.
All right. So this one, at least we put this one first, Rebecca, because this one requires the most explanation. I'm going to start with in April of 25 with Ordinance 1258. You renamed Title 11 of the City Code from Streets and Sidewalks to Streets, Sidewalks, and Public Places. This is the way many cities lump items together and gives a better landing place within the code for park and rec regulations as well as regulations related to trails. What we didn't do with that ordinance was move all of the park and rec codes from everywhere else in the code book to Chapter 11. We just created the title. So kind of as we have been making changes to anything in park and rec, we're moving it to Chapter 11. So that makes what we have in front of you very, very difficult to give you a redlined copy because not much of it is substantially new. A lot of it is moving it from Section 14 to Section 11. And I can go paragraph by paragraph and tell you what is new or substantially new depending on what level of detail you want tonight. I mean, it's only 8:15. We got plenty of time. But as much detail, I can just tell you the substantial parts rather than tell you each word that's changed. Yes, thank you, Terry. Okay. The substantial change is, there's two substantial change. One is going to be in Part D, which is the watercrafts and docks. And the primary, this is the primary reason that this is even coming up. And the Walton Lake subdivision covenants, restricted covenants that are attached to the agenda as a reference, already outline the D2, or already state that that watercraft that have a motor are prohibited within Walton Lake. Their Section 3 that talks about having a dock, that was already in our city code. So what we're proposing with D is basically taking what's in the restricted covenants and putting it into our code. The D1 definitions that include motorboat, wake, and watercraft, those are actually from the state code. So although new to our code, there's nothing creative there. Section 2 tries to mirror what's in the covenants as best as possible, yet still allowing the DNR and the city to do any thing that we need to do there as part of our regular duties. I did include the NRCS, Natural Resource Conservation Service, and U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service in that list of people who can be on the water, although I don't foresee them being on the water on a regular basis, if ever, but I put it in there just as a change. Again, D3 is already in the code, just some minor, adding a few additional words to clarify that. The other substantial change then is section J, protection of water source. And that J1 stating about the irrigation. That might be in the covenants, but that was something that most other cities that had, like Atumwa, with their lagoons and the Des Moines and the lagoons that they have that are in city property, they have similar information in their codes. You know, the Okoboji North Central or Northwest Iowa has similar information in their, I'll say their reservoir sections. So that's where J1 came from. And we do have a current irrigation agreement with Walton. And then J2 about the animals and the poultry, that also comes from the restricted covenants. So again, the main purpose of this is to bring stuff from the restricted covenants of Walton Lake and apply it to not only Walton, but really all of the reservoirs, but specifically, we're doing this because of Walton, and so that we can assure the property owners that the boat ramp is not going to be open to the general public. It's not going to, we're not going to turn into Rathbun and have, you know, jet skis out, because that's not the intent. We want to protect it as a water resource, and we need to get it into the city code.
So is it accurate to say that there are some pieces or some docks out there now?
There are some docks.
Or some type of dock?
Yes.
And
yeah.
What will happen with those?
Well, so they're actually not, they're not allowed by current code.
Right.
It's code compliance. I would say a lot of times code compliance things don't come up until, you know, a neighbor complains or you go and are in the area for another issue. And I think, unfortunately, that is one of the negative side effects of the neighborhood's concern is we wouldn't have noticed the docks if we hadn't have had a fine-tooth comb going over everything with Walton Lake, and now that we do know that. So it would be enforced through the regular code compliance nuisance stuff, just as we would a fence that doesn't meet regulation.
Okay.
And again, that is whether this passes or not, because the docks are actually not allowed by current code.
Okay. Yeah, so we're not grandfathering anything in at this point.
They were all built after that section of code was. I would have to check aerial photos, but my assumption, because that section of code that says that docks should not be constructed was put in place about the time the subdivision was created. So I would have to check to see if those docks are older than that.
Okay.
But that's other than that, I don't know. I'd have to look into it more.
So basically, you're saying we're not going to enforce any violations?
No, I'm saying that we would. It's just
to.
we haven't because we didn't notice they were there.
Right, but there's a building behind my house that didn't get a building permit. It's been sitting there for a long time, and we're not going to do anything about that either.
I believe I've talked to the council at length about my concerns about staffing within the planning and zoning department. So
I'm just saying that it's not the first time we've done this.
You mean come back to something after the fact?
No, well, realize there's a violation and not
Yes.
do anything about it.
I'm not saying that we're not going to do anything.
I didn't say that, but
Okay.
there are cases where nothing was done about a building that was put up without a permit. Like the one behind my house.
All right, we'll look into it.
No, I'm not asking you to do that either.
Well, I'm not aware of building around your.
It was a long time ago, and I asked you about it, and you said there was no building permit for it, and, you know. And I'm not complaining, I'm not asking you to do anything, I'm just saying that this is not an exception, this is not anything unusual for us.
It is not unusual for things to get built without a permit. That, I will agree to that statement.
Okay.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean that it stays that way.
No.
Yeah. And that it can be enforced. And
It
at
can
this
be.
point, we're not grandfathering anything in. So
Right.
if this passes, they're already on notice right now.
Whether it passes or not, it is in our current regulation that docks are not allowed on Walton Lake.
Exactly.
How many are there, do you know?
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, so with that, I do need to open the public hearing. And anybody want to speak to that? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and we'll go on to the ordinance. This is the first reading. And is there a motion to move it to the second reading?
So moved.
Moved by Esty,
Second.
second by Gandy. Further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Esti?
Yes.
Gandy?
Yes.
Flournoy?
Yes.
Toohill?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Rowe?
Yes.
Kness?
Yes.
Okay, great. That was approved unanimously. Next one, on the matter of an amendment to Chapter 10.3 Streets with 35 miles per hour limit. Again, why don't you go ahead and explain this, and then I will open the public hearing.
Yeah, this came in as a request from a citizen out on Walton Road. My memo describes the process that I went through in order to confirm that the speed does need to be reduced in there. I lectured often that I'm not a fan of artificially lowering streets speed limits, but as again the memo indicates that there are physical features to the road that it should be lowered anyway, and so the proposal is to lower it from 35 miles an hour, starting basically at the east side of the west finger of Walton Lake, which is the where it is city limits on both sides of the road.
Your memo's not attached. It's just the ordinance.
It's the next one down.
Do we skip one? No, we're there.
Streets with 35 miles per hour limit, consideration of amendment, yeah? It says ordinance and then there it says memo. When I click on memo, it just takes me to the ordinance.
Oh, okay.
Attached the wrong thing.
Well,
That's,
it has to do with, so there's a few vertical curves, which that impacts the sight distance and how quickly people can stop. And because of some of the vertical curves actually coming nearby.
If you want to pass it, I do have the memo. Sorry, I didn't mean to
No,
interrupt you,
it's okay.
Melanie, but I have the memo, so.
But some of the stopping distance actually towards the east end of Walton, or of the road near the entrance to the Walton subdivision, as well as the narrower road, the fact that there's not any shoulders, all of those things are reasons why if this was a brand new road, its design speed limit would be 35 miles an hour, so.
Okay, and with that, I'll open the public hearing. Does anybody want to speak to the Walton Road 35 mile an hour? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. And again, this is the first reading to change the miles per hour to 35 on Walton Road. So is there a motion to move it to the second reading?
motion to move the consideration, the amendment to chapter 10.30 to the second reading.
Moved by Esty.
Second.
Second by Gandy. Further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Esti?
Yes.
Gandy?
Yes.
Kness?
Yes.
Toohill?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Rowe?
Yes.
Flournoy?
Yes.
Okay, great. That was, you approved unanimously to change chapter 10.3. Okay, next ordinance, again, this is a first reading. This is on amendment to Title 16, Fire of the Fairfield Municipal Code. So go ahead, Melanie.
Okay. So the main purpose of this ordinance is to bring the city's code in line with a recent, or not recent, I think the county did it a while ago, but an ordinance that the county passed back in March of this year. You guys passed an ordinance that said when there is a burn ban or a red flag warning, that the maximum fee limit for our fire protection fees does not apply. And so then what this ordinance does through the county gives a more specific process as to what exactly, how those are defined, and then even with controlled burns. And there's not going to be a lot of controlled burns inside the city limits, but there still are some. And then there are also going to be controlled burns that might be within our fire district, even though they're outside the city limits, they would be billed under our code. So again, we're putting it in line with the counties. That's why you do see a couple items such as 1606.020 where it says not used. That's a paragraph that is specific to the county, but I wanted to kind of keep the, section 20, section 30, I wanted to keep that in line with the county, the way the county had written. The only other thing I wanted to mention is on the third page, paragraph D1, I did still leave in there that the maximum fee limit for fire protection listed in Chapter 7 shall not apply. So that you had done back in March is still there. And then it goes on to the civil penalties that is in line with what the county put in place.
Okay, with that, I'll open the public hearing. Does anybody want to speak to this ordinance? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. And council, is there a motion to move this from the first to the second reading?
So moved.
Moved by Gandy.
Second.
Second by Kness. Any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Gandy.
Yes.
Kness.
Yes.
Esti.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Toohill.
Yes.
Flournoy.
Yes.
Rowe.
Yes.
Great, thank you. That was approved unanimously. Last reading, this is a first reading. This is the garage sales, which we talked about in work session. I'll open the public hearing. Is there anybody who wants to speak to this ordinance? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Again, this is the first reading, so we'll have 2 more readings after this.
I make the motion to move the ordinance considering regulations pertaining to garage sales from the first to the second reading.
Okay, great. Moved by Flournoy. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Gandy. Further discussion?
So we're going to be addressing the issue of commercial property where there are garage sales by looking at the peddler ordinance, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes. All right, just making sure. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Any other questions? No, please call the roll.
Flournoy.
Yes.
Gandy.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Rowe.
Yes.
Esti.
Yes.
Kness.
Yes.
Toohill.
Yes.
Great, that was approved unanimously. So garage sale ordinance will go to the second reading. Under the mayor's report, I do not have anything, so we're going to move on to the city attorney report.
Yeah.
I'm sending a couple things around. One is what we filed in the last few days having to do with a hearing that was scheduled for earlier this morning. It was a hearing on whether a preliminary injunction would issue restraining our drawdown throughout the length of the lawsuit that's been filed against the city. And that particular period of time could go all the way through a trial scheduled hearing on the merits, which may be as late as next summer. So that particular matter, the city resisted. We submitted 19 exhibits, which was a bundle about as thick as your council packet for this week. But we also, in the last day, we received some late filings. We filed one more exhibit with the city administrator's help, which included some rebuttal information from Chad Dolan of DNR and also FrenchReneker as far as some things having to do with some measurement. After that occurred, we had a few shuffles. Send those around too, Matt. We had a change in the judge that was assigned to rotate in for today. We got the district's newest appointed judge, Amber Thompson, and she did look over things for a couple hours that we had submitted. Mr. Noyes also had an exhibit number 15 and some other attachments that were parts of earlier exhibits he'd submitted. So I think there was a relatively complete review, but the judge looked at this a little differently than Judge Showers when he ruled in the city's favor on the 26th of September. This judge looked at it as what else is there to decide if this preliminary injunction is subject to the same standard as applied to the temporary restraining order, which is basically, do you have likelihood to succeed on the part of the plaintiff? If they aren't going to prevail on their merits, that's a pretty good reason not to grant an injunction to stop things. Also, it's a question of, is there a risk of irreparable damage? That again was found in favor of the city. Is there a substantial immediate risk? That becomes less of an immediate question when you're looking at a preliminary injunction that might last for months. And ultimately, the judge said all of these issues have previously been considered, and she wasn't going to overturn what Judge Showers had previously ruled. So she basically said there isn't anything more for the court to do with this today. Having reviewed it, she was just going to deny Mr. Noyes' request and leave the previous order in place. And essentially that means that there isn't any restraining order against our drawdown, and there isn't any longer-term preliminary injunction against our drawdown. So we've been through an administrative law judge hearing that ruled in the city's favor. We've been through both a division director's determination on a one-day review where the division director was asked to overturn the ALJ decision. And then we had a direct appeal to the state director of the Department of Natural Resources, who has authority under the code in a significant emergency to override the administrative law judge, and she declined to take jurisdiction and do that. Then we had the district court on the 26th of September rule in the city's favor, and now we've had the last what I would call the preliminary motions ruled in the city's favor. None of these cast any doubt on the city's having proceeded legally. The exhibits that are in the list that was passed around to you include an exhibit from our city clerk explaining how she did everything by the book as far as the notices, the different hearings that were required to follow, the publication, and so forth. The other parts of this, as far as our engineer's affidavit, our city administrator's affidavit, our mayor's affidavit, all of those items have been considered by the court, and contrary to what's been on social media since early this summer, I'm happy to report to you that you haven't acted illegally. Happy to report to you that the court agrees that what you've been doing is what a city council is supposed to do. And that as far as our proceedings, there hasn't been anything raised that stops you from going forward. So at this point, the things that you want to resolve are in your hands as far as the court feeling you are the appropriate decision makers. You are also the persons who, if there's anything else over the next few months that you are inclined to reconsider, rescind, or change in some way. You just did another change order today as far as allowing the contractor that won the bid last winter and spring to do something different as far as the project going ahead with bridge removal. That being said, the bridge removal probably still going to meet with some objections, but the bridge removal, whether there is 6 feet of water out there or 2 feet of water out there, it's not ready to happen yet. So the city's watching that. I hear from our city administrator about every 2 days about we've dropped another 3 to 6 inches. At this rate, we're going to be all through the month of October probably before we have the drain down that we anticipated. But we may be quicker at the site of the bridge piers and the abutment, and I guess that's going to depend upon what the engineers, our city engineer and FrenchReneker's opinions are about the safe operating level of the water in the bridge area, and not having any obstacles anymore as far as legal proceedings or administrative proceedings to keep us from working at the bridge site. We should be able to remove the bridge this fall, assuming we don't have Halloween snowstorm or something like that. But I think you agree with me on that, don't you, Melanie? That we probably can get that done. Yeah.
It's not going to snow this year.
Yeah. Not going to snow at all this winter, apparently.
Correct. Yeah, hold me to it.
Okay, well, hold you to that. Aside from that, we've got a couple things that I've had a couple calls to my office about nuisance properties. We do need to deal with our absence of what's probably going to become a full-time job again as far as code inspection, enforcement, and I did, in respect to a couple of these locations, these are people that are self-policing themselves. One of the next property committee meetings, I expect we'll probably have 2 individuals in town that are prepared to give up property to the city, like Mr. Kevin Franklin did. And so we'll have some more infill property for those kinds of LMI possibilities. And we'll also, at the same time, we've had, I think, Hattery from Davenport, an inspection and appraisal visit. Have we got a report on that yet, Doug? We haven't, do we?
I have not.
Okay, well, that's something that we're waiting on, but I expect that it's going to impact what we've got going on at the Penny Lane building at the corner of Court and Broadway. And those are things that are probably top of the list things with our code enforcement that we've been sort of sitting on our hands about. So apologize you for sitting on my hands. We've had other things we've been working on in the meantime. This thing with the group at the lake, I kind of hate to see some of the things that have been going on. We've had a couple of the election workers at the special election that asked for protection because of things that were said to them at the polling place. And there really isn't any place for that. I don't think it's the group that's talked to us openly here in public, but I think it's somebody that, in my terminology, would be a smartass. And that person, basically, one person attempted to convince the poll watchers that they were entitled to vote in 4 different districts in town because they had property in 4 different locations in town.
I understand it was more than that, John. It was more than just the one person. I think.
Oh yeah, that was just one instance,
right.
And there was some yelling and some cussing and some threatening. Mm-hmm. They had to have the auditor's office, Commissioner of Elections, go over to the polling place. That usually doesn't happen, but it's not the first time something like that's happened. We had a couple times back when I was county attorney in the 90s when we had people show up and they wanted to vote on both parties' primaries at the same time. And they thought that was a really clever issue. Now, the state code's pretty specific. You have to be a registered voter in a particular party. But it got out of hand, and we had to have the sheriff come over. We shouldn't have to have the sheriff come over for a runoff election. And a city matter, there's some heated discussions that take place here sometimes, but that shouldn't go outside of our open discussion. We're pretty, in spite of what you read on social media, we're pretty transparent. I don't think anybody that wanted to speak up here hasn't had a chance to say something in their time. So, you know, I'll just say that that's not the way it's supposed to work. And we got more elections coming up. I was at a Amish breakfast on Saturday down in Van Buren County. And some people from Mount Pleasant were there, and they said that people from our town had been over there talking to a church group, and they said that our election in the runoff was poorly handled, and that they were hearing all about it from people on the party side that lost. And I expect it was probably some people that aren't ever going to be satisfied that they shouldn't have won. But that's what's nice about democratic processes, is that we do have checks and balances. We have voter canvassing. We have a honest election process in our auditor's office, and it's overseen by our state's different departments as far as Secretary of State. So having said that, I'm at a point right now where I think we're done with these legal gyrations for a while with the lake. We have a hearing on the 18th of November to determine when there's going to be a trial date in district court on the merits. And that is probably not going to be until sometime next summer, based on the rules of civil procedure and the district court calendar. It's just even to a judge, there aren't very many trial periods opening up. On the other side of that, that's November 18th, and we'll know more about how much time we get to do discovery, how much time we get to file motions. There may be quite a bit in our record already that would justify something called summary judgment, where the court would just be asked to find that most of the things that have been raised don't rise to the level of stopping our project or interfering with the lawful processes of a city government. That's my sense, that we could probably dispose of the case before you have a full trial, not any earlier than next summer. On the administrative law judge side, there is a trial setting conference as far as discovery rules and so forth set for January 7th. That administrative process goes right along parallel with the district court process. Some of the same issues are in there, but I'm relatively confident that the administrative law judge that will be assigned to hearing this matter on the merits is going to be pretty well versed in the issues that have to do with the same things that DNR has opinions about. So at this point, I think DNR wholeheartedly agrees with the city's position that this should be projects that the council makes a decision about, and these are things that they understand why the city is going to be in charge of this, along with our retained engineering firm here in town, and that regardless of how well-intentioned some other people are about the ideas they have and the engineering savings that they're going to bring to us and so forth, we have to act like a municipality. If we get sued, we have to look like a municipality. If we're going to get into a situation where we have to defend the way we've done things against claims of either defects or negligence, Again, we have to act like a municipality, and we can't relinquish our position on that to people that want to pressure us to do that. If we want to reach some kind of an agreement, and we've got months to do that, and we've got other things to look at, nobody's telling you can't look at every possibility. But so far, you have aired every possibility that I can see, and you've weighted against dollar costs, and you haven't seen a better or more cost-efficient than what you are presently resolved on. Even when Mr. Hipp was here and was showing us slideshow and things like that, he was not in a position where he could say he'd come up with a solution that was going to be any less expensive than what your low bid was. So at this point, I think you're about as far along as you can be on things either administratively or in district court legal terms going forward. So at this point, you still have your independent council member by council member decision-making abilities, but the legal system is basically showing you that you haven't been acting incorrectly, that you haven't acted in a manner that is outside of the scope of the things you're permitted to do. And so, yeah, that's enough for me to say tonight.
So, John, I have a question on that.
Yeah.
Is the only way that this stuff wouldn't go forward is if Mr. Ed Noyes withdraws all his...
He can dismiss anytime he wants to.
Okay.
We will have to, probably by the time we have our trial setting conference in late November, we'll have to decide if we want to ask the court to allow us to make any what was called permissive counterclaims. There are times, and they usually don't come into play until you file your formal answer on the longer, more big merits case. We have filed an answer in that now. We filed affirmative defenses to use as defense mechanisms in the trial if we have one next summer. But if you want to make counterclaims, things like intentional interference with our contract relationships, intentional slander of city title, abuse of process, those are things that are out there. I'm not preaching that you should go to any of those. That's just going to probably prolong the litigation. There aren't any other people named as a party in this litigation that we're involved with except Mr. Noyes. In spite of him claiming he's got unanimous support out there, he doesn't have anybody signed up to be a party. If he's your only party on the other side with an interest in this, I would expect at some point he'll see the light and maybe not want to push the envelope too much farther if it looks like there's no possible way that either the administrative law judge or the district court judge are going to reverse themselves. So he's got the Iowa Supreme Court yet. I suppose he can try to take this upstairs. But the average appeal going to the Supreme Court right now, you pay about a $10,000 retainer to get somebody that specializes in that to take it forward for you. So I don't see that happening.
So, John, I have an additional question. And that's pertaining to when we go into closed session.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's generally these people here that are up in front.
Right.
You know, the city council, you, admin, clerk, engineer. What's your expectation of all of us here about discussing that outside of closed session?
Well, none of you have been sued individually. So there's a little litany of things I could tell you if you have this hanging over your head individually also, where you're probably going to need to understand that if that happens to you, you need to probably plan on being advised by an assigned counsel. ICAP has the capacity to have 7 different lawyers represent 7 different interests among the council here, plus your officers. And, you know, so if you have 10 different lawyers in the room with 10 different interests, that's possible. There's a case called Town of Suffolk that's a U.S. Supreme Court case that says everybody's interest is entitled to be protected. And if you vary in opinion from one to the other all the way around this table, you still get to have your individual opinion. But you may put yourself in a position where a lawyer has to tell you, no, you do not want to say that, or you don't want to be caught in that statement later on, because that may cause you to get a reservation of rights letter from
Is that your question?
your insurer.
I don't know if are you answering, I don't know if that's a question. The question has to do, I think, you have a closed session. Is the session closed in the sense that the people who are participating in the session, are they allowed to, should they disseminate the information beyond the session? That's the question.
Yeah, the whole idea of a closed session is that it not be discussed in a way that would be disadvantageous to the city's position coming out of closed session. That still doesn't change the fact you're all entitled to your same opinions or different opinions. But you do have a kind of a break point where you do not want to go outside and put yourself in a position where you have excluded yourself possibly from the coverage that the city as a whole is entitled from ICAP. The city is also entitled under the code to indemnify you individually, assuming you...
Should you, when you're in a closed session, when you go out of a closed session, do you talk to other people about what happens in the closed session?
Is it confidential?
Yeah.
The idea is that you probably shouldn't, but the rest of the story is that some of this stuff is it's on the front page of the newspaper already. It's not the kind of stuff you can say, none of you can talk about the bridge, and none of you can talk about the lake, because...
But strategy, if we're talking about strategy, litigation strategy, that's the purpose of the closed session, isn't it?
Right, and so far, I think we've pretty much been inside ourselves here as far as the things we've done. You've given me authority each time we resisted something and went back with documents to get a result from a hearing, and I think that pretty much worked the way that it was intended. Right now, there isn't a whole lot. If we were in closed session right now, we were talking about November 18th and a trial setting hearing, there wouldn't be much about that that's secretive. It's in the rules of civil procedure, and us getting times and so forth would probably not be a discussion about whether we're filing a motion for summary judgment or whether we're going to do some kinds of discovery with certain kinds of people. There will probably come a time when that will be a possibility, and that's probably a time when you might have to have advice from somebody separate. It might be Ehlers, it might be 6 other law firms other than Ehlers, and as far as that goes, they may tell me to be quiet and that I've been turned into a witness of some kind. So I don't know that yet, but so far we've been going along with these preliminary motions and so forth.
I think what prompted the mayor's question, it has to do with a statement that was made earlier this evening by one of the participants before the council that suggested that there was information they had which probably was something shared in a structure where it was not supposed to be not to be disclosed. A closed session, in other words.
Yeah, and we don't have to, I'm not trying to dog it to death. I'm just trying to make sure that it's clear what's an expectation from all of us, in that. So unrelated to that, John, if I could just move on, because I think we've talked about that. And do we have any further, I know you've been busy on this particular thing. So is there anything new on the 2nd Street and Harrison fence issue?
No. We have had an inquiry from one of the neighbors down there about when we're going to get back on track on that.
Yeah.
We do have a verbal understanding with the owner at that corner that we can come back to him with a proposal as far as where his fence line should actually be, and probably cutting off a visibility problem with the corner of the 6-foot-tall wood fence is a part of that solution no matter what.
Is that something that staff can go talk to the owner about and get that resolved?
I think they could. Yeah.
Would you be open to that?
I'll make it happen.
Well, let me just go back to one thing I want to say. It's quite, I mean, election interference or mistreating election workers is quite serious. My mother's a poll worker even now at 90 years old, election worker. So it's a quite serious thing. And I do think, and my understanding of what happened is that there were people involved that are part, I don't know who, I'm not going to say. I think there were people involved that were, when you say not part of this group, I think that's not true.
Well, I don't think they were the front end of the group. I don't think they were the people
I don't know the details,
giving
but I
the
would-
speeches. I think they were people that were trying to test as far as they could get.
In any case,
I've been in that situation
right,
before
it's
with
a-
somebody
it's a-
trying
it's
to
quite serious.
get away with something that you can't have it both ways.
Right, it's quite serious. I just think we want to be careful about that going forward. I think there will be, unfortunately, going to have to be additional protections at our polling places, but yeah, it's a quite serious matter.
I will say too that that was brought to the attention of the supervisors and the sheriff's office.
Right.
Election interference at this point is investigated and prosecuted by the AG's office, so it wouldn't be a county or city issue. But I think that the awareness was brought to the issue to the various parties involved.
Great, thank you. Anything else, John?
No, that's probably enough, actually.
Okay. Committee and board reports, property committee?
We had a meeting today at noon, and we discussed the fountain proposal by the beautification committee. They brought some diagrams to us and answered some questions about cost and location. And then we discussed alternative locations and answered our questions. And we're going to schedule another meeting in the future to do a site visit on the 2 locations that have been talked about, and then make a decision, I guess.
Okay.
And then we just started on the Walton lease agreement, and we got through. We haven't done section 1 yet, and there are 12 sections.
That's probably the most complicated.
Yeah, it's the most complicated part. There's questions about. All right, so right now there is a 10-foot right-of-way around the lake where the shoreline abuts a private property, but not on the golf course. And it's being suggested that we might want to draw a line from the shoreline into the water around the golf course to provide, I guess, a safety zone is how I would describe it for kayakers and boaters who might come in range of a golf ball. There's I could figure.
Yeah, I think there was some consensus. What does some consensus mean? There was a consensus that it'd be good to bring in a representative of Walton Club and also our city attorney as we work through drafting or redrafting this lease, because I think we certainly want the other side of the contract involved, and we want our attorney involved to make sure that we don't have to do things twice, right? So
another aspect of it is, I think some parts of the lease are vague. They talk about, can't remember the word, clubhouse grounds, which is undefined. And I think that lot 6 would describe that wholly. But then the shed area is another expression used in the lease, and that's on outlot B. But outlot B runs from, I don't know if you know the area, but it runs from the shed all the way down to Walton Road. And so they take care of part of that lot, and they don't take care of other parts of that lot. So getting a better description of what part they take care of is on the table also. So that's it.
We have large plat maps of the subdivision, and Doug's right, there's an area up around the golf course that we didn't extend the shoreline easement clearly. And I guess it's a kind of a mixed question because, like Doug's description. If you've got kayakers where somebody's slicing their golf balls, kayak's probably at risk.
Well, maybe we should just map out where the golf balls are on the bottom and then just exclude those zones.
I was gonna say, if you're,
I don't know if the drone is that good.
Well, at any rate, I think we're
10 or
gonna.
15 feet's not gonna do it.
Yeah. Sounds like we'll have a.
We've never had an issue, so I'm not sure if it is an issue, actually.
Yeah. Well, in the end, I think we're going to have a more defined lease, which I think is a good thing. So let's move on to the city administrator report.
Well, there's an EPA report and a Fairfield Walks.
Want me to go?
Yeah.
Okay. The EPA report that's in front of you is still a draft. It's due in 2 days, so master procrastinator here. But it's semi-annual report due October 15th, providing an update on the city's efforts to reduce sanitary sewer overflows as part of our EPA compliance order. It lists the docket number there in the document. And at this point, our primary remaining efforts that is part of our compliance order is step 4 that we have been working on over the last couple months. There was the intended use plan application at the first part of September. In July, I think, was the engineering selection for FrenchReneker. And so we're going to be continuing on step 4 and working to reduce those sanitary sewer overflows. In the last 6 months, there were 5 sanitary sewer overflows. 4 of them were related to, or were directly after the large amount of rain that we received at the end of July. I haven't done a full analysis to know if that would be over or what would be in our allowed overflow area, and then or overflow rainfall amount. But we received almost 7 inches in 13 days, I think. And then the other overflow was due to a blockage in a pipe. So again, another good report over the last 6 months. And then the Fairfield Walks, just letting you guys know to get information out to constituents and the general public. With October being Pedestrian Safety Month, we're glad to have Traffic sponsoring this event again this year. So we're encouraging people to basically be a pedestrian, whether it is walking a portion of their daily commute or just going for a walk in the evening with their family, hopefully before, and daylight savings doesn't change until November 2nd, so you can get it done. Get it done in the month of October before the nights get even shorter. And then by posting it to social media with those certain hashtags, through the sponsorship with Traffics, we'll be randomly selecting 3 people, 1 each Friday, to get $50 in chamber bucks. So last year, I'm trying to think, I know Dan Bowers was one of the winners. They had been out on the new Highway 1 trail. So yeah, that's just bringing it to everyone's attention, and we'll be doing some more social media stuff over the next couple days. We have some great pictures of Doug Flournoy being a celebrity crossing guard on Friday, and I think the mayor, you're not this week, but you're next week. I think I have a couple of people from the library that's willing to wear costumes with me on October 31st. So we've got several good things coming for Pedestrian Safety Month.
Great.
All right. So my report is attached, and I will.
Wait, Melanie, thank you for walking us through that.
So my report is attached, and I will sit for questions, but I would like to take a moment, and then so that we can all go home. And I want to say thank you to the council for the hard work and dedication to this city. Often it is tough to understand issues and accept dissent and deliberating what we do while remaining neutral and unbiased, with unbiased outlooks, trying to do the greatest good. My job is to abstain from any position and carry out directives of the governing body and make sure I have the right people in the right place at the right time. I want to thank Melanie for being an outstanding engineer. As a professional, you are detailed, quick to adapt, hardworking, and always looking for the best case scenarios in difficult and in unknown situations. Your job is to evaluate concerns and develop real-world solutions in obscure conditions. Your mathematical skills, technical knowledge, and decades of experience make you a trusted asset to the city of Fairfield. You take in data and explain complex problems to help us understand the next steps moving forward. You provide unbiased and ethical design standards that lead this city in the right direction. You provide information many do not necessarily want to hear and remind us we may not enjoy the facts, but we must consider the details. I want to apologize, and it is a shame that individuals lash out at you with personal invective recourse because they do not like what they discern. Construction is hard work and should be exciting and fun, giving us pride in a new generational beginnings and a hopeful in our future. All construction is messy and inconvenience, but the sooner we get started, the sooner we finish and move on to the next project. Your dedication and commitment to this community is appreciated by those that care about the big picture for a city that continues to be relevant. The one constant is change, and in the words of JFK, we do not do these things because they are easy. We do them because they are hard. I hope someday we all understand the success is required by giving up some of our personal comforts and expectations so that we may leave a legacy for our children. You, above most, understand this. Once again, I want to say thank you. That's all I have.
That's a nice statement, Doug. I appreciate that. I'm just going to say on your administrator report, the Hy-Vee Black Party, I don't know if I said anything.
You did not.
You know, the last time, I can't remember when that was. But I think the positive that came out from that was we had the design of the fire station, and I know that the fire department also was there, and there were people that, you know, kind of grokked what the fire station is, why we need it. Mm-hmm. And so there was a new appreciation for people on that fire station. So that was great. I think the work session that we had on October 4th was useful. I think we moved, you know, forward a little bit on a couple issues, and there's a lot of work yet to do. But there was a lot of good discussion. Thanks, Faith, for kind of helping us organize a couple things there too. And I'll just say thanks also for your input from the Resilient Action Committee on changes for our website. We know we've been wanting to do that for several years, and I'm really hoping that we can find it in our budget this year for that and some strategic planning as well. So anyway, thanks for everybody who's worked on those projects and those items. And with that, I will take a
So moved.
motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved by Toohill, second by Kness. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Thank you.